Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the LoG in Audio Out Library of Games podcast. I am your host, Hugo, and I'm here with my co-host, Taylor. Say hi, Taylor.
Hello.
And today we are going to have two very special guests. We have Roger. Say hi.
Hey.
And we also have Isaiah.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. So a fun thing before we like to kind of go around the bout with our guests is we like to just obviously say your name, but you guys already did. Say your preferred video game, like favorite franchise.
I guess I'll jump in here and say that you guys probably know this, but anyone listening, my favorite franchise is the Super Smash Bros. Series. I could see Taylor already anticipating that answer.
Yes. I knew. Yep.
I feel like it's most people, so it's casual.
Yeah, it's a fun game. Most people are familiar with it. Been having a lot of fun with it because the character that I play, Captain Falcon, just got a bunch of buffs, and he's really good now.
All right. What about you, Roger?
Mine's more story driven, though honestly at this point it's more of a escape room than a story. But Kingdom Hearts, yeah.
Oh gosh, the complexity.
That convoluted mess of a story that can possibly give you a stroke explaining it to people. Like, yeah, you see this person, it's Sora. But you see all these other people, they're also Sora. But at the same time, they're also all not Sora.
Oh, don't forget the 4 Rikus.
Oh, yes, the 4 Rikus.
Oh my god, okay.
The 3 the 3 Kyries.
I'm cutting you off right there. All right. So today's topic is just essentially talking about quarantine and video gaming. So obviously at the time of this recording, for the past couple of months, we have all been kind of staying inside, hopefully, and social distancing, and more or less finding our own ways to keep up with our free time. And the biggest common way that's been going up now is video games. So I think a good way to go around is to everyone go one by one, just like list off like what you've been playing now for the past few months or so, and just have fun. Like I'll start off. I've actually been playing a lot of JRPGs. I have recently dwelled into the Persona 5 series, and I think like it's become like one of my favorite games of all time now at this point. And I think like around this time, I think Persona 5 Royal came out in March, so around the perfect amount of time for the quarantine is happening. And I think I blinked and 100 hours already passed. Yeah. No, I think it was the point where I wake up, I go play the game, go back to sleep, wake up, go play it again. And
the grind.
Yeah. And the worst part, the best part, you lose your concept of time sometimes.
He's just like, wake up, mementos, go to sleep. Wake up, mementos, go to sleep.
But I've also been focusing on, I got lucky enough with another release of Final Fantasy VII Remake, where I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, and the fact that this game has been waited for years, and I just I think that was the only reason why I put down Persona 5, just so I can play this game again. And then I beat it twice, once on regular difficulty and once on hard mode. So I just had the most fun with that. And then I started replaying a game, but we can get to that topic later. But I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem. And
Wait, Hugo, let's go around.
I know. I was gonna stop at 3. I was gonna stop right there. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can go on. Okay. All right, that's enough. All right. Isaiah, how about you go next if you're so eager?
I was gonna ask Roger, but sure. I recently started playing, or not that recently. About a month ago, started playing The Outer Worlds. Now I've been told it's a lot like the Fallout series, which I have never played. Although I intend to after playing this. I know I'm missing out apparently, so I'll probably play that after this. It's been a pretty interesting experience because I haven't played too many other games in the category or in the genre. I really liked how your character traits can kind of affect the game, and then you still get to make some other decisions outside of that. I don't know if are any of you guys familiar with the game?
Yeah, I played it.
Yeah,
I
me too.
played it during quarantine.
Oh,
Hey.
Yeah.
I
like,
actually.
blew through it in like 3 or 4 days.
nice.
Oh,
I haven't
yeah,
been
binge gaming.
on the steady
Yeah.
grind though. Yeah, I have not been doing that. I have not
Isn't that a game though where it's like it can be either really long or really short per se?
Yes. Also, if you play like me and turn on God mode, it can be
Oh.
real short. And don't
Oh,
even
see.
start to argue with me about God
Alright,
mode.
so
It's
here's
a
the thing.
valid way to play.
No, I agree, because especially in a game that's so dialogue intensive, I think that's you should play the game the way you want to play.
Yeah.
That being said, as I am a fan of hard games,
Yes.
I put it on the second hardest difficulty, not the one where your companions can die, because I wanted to keep my companions.
Yeah.
So not supernova, but the hardest difficulty.
Plus,
And then, well, no, dude, it's a story. I want to have the characters. I'm not trying. It's the first time I'm playing it. I didn't know what I was getting into. Come
All
on,
right, fair
man.
enough. All right, fair
Cut me
enough.
some
Okay.
slack.
I was about to say, boy, excuse me, have you not heard the saying, my friends are my power?
Oh my gosh.
But I did end up giving myself a below average temperament, which means I don't have auto heal.
Mm.
It sounds
So
like
it's like
a handicap a little bit.
it's like it's like hard mode plus, but not super hard mode, not supernova. It's nice. It kind of it feels a little bit more realistic. I'm actually pretty happy I did that because I got to put that extra skill point into my, I think, charisma, so that I can get some more dialogue options as well and persuade people a little more. So I can really, in most situations, get away with doing whatever I want.
God, nice.
So it's been nice having that that openness sort of to the game, and like you said, Taylor, I do think you should play the way you want to.
Yeah.
I have a very overpowered setup of gear or skills right now, so basically I'm running a sniper kit so that most of my game is dialogue intensive, because I can just get a kill and then in slow motion. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but you can slow time.
Yeah.
That sounds so funny.
Yeah, so the second I get one kill, I can just go to the next person, and it adds more slow motion time to my meter. And that's primarily how I've been playing the game.
Jesus. It sounds like the Flash when he's just like using the Speed Force and it's just like, what if I did that while sniping? It's just like vibrating in place and then bang, 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 dead.
Pretty much.
You offended me, you're gone.
What about you, Taylor? What else? What have you been playing?
So I played the Outer Worlds like right at the beginning of Illinois stay-at-home order, which is why I wasn't working during that time. So that's why I finished in like 5 days. It was like a marathon gaming session of like that's all I did all day because I had nothing else to do.
Nice.
And I kind of like got that pace out of my system early on with video games. So I haven't really been finishing many games. I've been starting things. I've been playing The Longing, which is a really interesting game to play during quarantine because it's this little indie game about waiting. So that's been a little weird. I've been trying to play some of my Steam backlog, and also some new stuff. So like an older adventure game I played is the Paynes Creek Killings, which I almost got to the end, but the end is really goofy and I just like quit at the end because I was like, I hate this now. I was having fun and I hate it now.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. And the journey was very fun. The destination was stupid. And I played In Other Waters, which is a fairly new indie adventure game about underwater exploration. It's not graphics heavy, so it's all really told through text and symbols, which I liked. It felt a little short for me. And then I've been playing a lot of What the Golf.
What?
Nice.
Oh my
What?
God, What the Golf is great. So my partner played it, and he was kind of hating all the video games he was playing during quarantine, and then he played it, and he's like, "This, why isn't every game like this?" He's like,
Can you
have to play
describe it a little bit?
Okay, so What the Golf is it's a mobile game, and you're playing different golf holes.
You've already lost me.
Yeah, the moment
No,
I heard
no.
mobile game. I'm sorry. The moment I heard
No,
mobile
but it's
game.
totally worth it. It is so worth it. It's on Apple Arcade, which I had a lot of feelings about signing up for Apple Arcade, but it's worth it to sign up just to play What the Golf. So,
I'm so
like
caught off guard by this.
in the first few holes, it makes sense. It's like, okay, you shoot the golf ball into the hole, and then the next one you do the same thing, except you fly across, like your flies across. And then the next one, it's like you do it and a bunch of golf clubs fly across. And it's so weird and irreverent, and in a lot of places is kind of parodying other indie or mobile games. And it is endlessly delightful.
Ooh,
And
they're
just really, really,
self-aware.
really fun. So-
Honestly,
They're self-aware.
that is the
so
last thing I would have
self-aware.
expected from a mobile game, actually.
It's fantastic. So
All right, that was a very persuasive argument for the game.
I'm Googling this now.
yeah.
Alright.
So you'll have a great time even just watching the trailer. But it
just
surprises you at every turn. You think you know what it is, and then like each new level is like, what? What just happened? It's great.
Just to comment on something you said earlier about playing a mix of old and new games, I also did that, and I don't know if I mentioned I beat Shovel Knight, which was great because I had started that in high school, and then the final chapter came out right around the beginning of the quarantine as well. So I was able to finally finish that game. It's one of my all-time favorites. And then I also finished the main story of Hollow Knight, although I do need to go back and finish some of the DLC. That game is very beautiful.
It is amazing. I love it.
All right, I think not to cut you off, Isaiah. I do think we should. I want you to hold on to that thought because I think I have a later topic for that actually.
Alrighty.
All right, and that goes in. So Roger, I also want to give it fair for Roger.
Okay, what haven't I been playing during quarantine? I feel like I've played too much, but I don't binge play like everyone else does. So,
Well, excuse me.
look, I don't have the free time to be binge playing, even if it's quarantine. But yeah, like I have like a small list of things that I've been playing. I know I finished Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then immediately after spent like a week or two and finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider. But then I started Dragon Quest IX. I finished that today, sort of. All I know is I hate Corvus and I hate the dumb pig. He's so irritating. I hate crits. And then I figured out how to turn all of my PlayStation 2 discs into ISOs. So I rediscovered emulation and PlayStation, and now I've started Need for Speed Underground, Need for Speed Carbon. I have all the Personas, Test Drive, Simpsons Road Rage.
So, not to cut you off, it's like just for people listening at home, just to paraphrase, you've essentially been turning like disc PlayStation games and turning it into actual emulators or actual like data.
Yeah, basically that's what I've been doing, but it's like the emulator. I already have the emulator. It's called PCSX2. If anybody wants to download it, just look that up. It actually works phenomenally, and it lets you upscale games and everything. But basically, what I've been doing is I've been grabbing all my PlayStation 2 discs and putting them into a CD drive, and then creating images of the data from the discs so that I could play it on my computer without having to plug in my PlayStation or constantly be putting the disc into the CD drive. And so now I just have them on my computer. So it's like, oh, am I done playing this? Oh, well, I can play the next one. If not that, then the next one. Which also reminded me, I've also been playing Cabela's Big Game Hunter 2005.
Oh my lord!
What?
All right, Roger,
What?
you can stop flexing.
Yeah.
And I thought Taylor had won the cup for like obscure games, but no, I think you
Like,
just took
no.
the cup. You,
Wait,
Boy,
That was
you
just
know I'm
surprising.
shovelware. I am shovelware. You don't understand. Real fishing,
okay.
RC helicopter, airboat racing.
Oh my lord!
pro bass fishing.
Oh,
Big ol'
pro
bass.
bass fishing.
Big bass fishing, big old bass 2, real fishing.
Okay, well, I think that kind of goes into our next topic then. So since with the quarantine, obviously having a lot more free time, do you guys feel as if you guys are touching games that you wouldn't normally play on a regular basis? Because I know for me,
Yes.
for my own personal experience, I usually always wait on a new release occasionally, and I just kind of forget my backlog exists because I always want to play the new games coming out. And I think with everything kind of slowing down, I kind of wanted to look back and just think, oh yeah, I have this game. I've never touched it. Why not play it again? Or not play it again, actually play it. And I think it just, I think back on it now, it's like, I think, why haven't I touched this game sooner? And it's like, I don't know if am I alone on that feeling because of this quarantine?
If I may, I actually, right at the beginning of the quarantine, I purchased a bunch of indie games for my Switch that I have gotten through some of, but not many of the others. And I think it's for the same reason. And I also, like Roger, have not been binging as much as I was, especially I will admit, much more at the beginning of the quarantine. But similarly to Taylor, I sort of like burnt that energy out. But now I have Kentucky Route Zero, which I started playing with Library of Games, or actually not a Library of Games, Awesome Party Boater
Awesome
Games.
Party Boater Games. Yep. You were the
and
only one that was interested in it.
Well, how could you not be? All right.
Right?
Anyways. I also got both Bastion and Transistor. I beat Bastion already, but I have yet to finish Transistor. I'm maybe like 30 to 40% of the way through that. And then I got Hyperlight Drifter. These are games that are like kind of in categories. Like, I'm a big fan of platformers, but I was not too big of a fan of like the Metroidvania style before Hollow Knight. And that kind of expanded a little. And then also, I never played too many RPGs, and The Outer Worlds is now the main reason why I haven't played the rest of these indie games on my Switch. So I think I did kind of experience exactly what you're talking about now, that I kind of expanded my tastes a little bit while still going back and playing some of the games I've already owned and finishing them up, like I mentioned, like Taylor did. Or the opposite of Taylor. I have been finishing the games.
And I have not. I finished a few, but yeah, most of them now.
All right.
I guess just straight up my answer, Cabela's Big Game Hunter 2005. Like, come on, that's obviously not something you just pick up and play. That's like be like, oh look, I found this in the $5 bin at Sears or something. I've had these games for so long, and I have never once like finished them. I've gotten like through a good portion of them, but never finished them. And now I'm just like, ooh, emulation, upscaling. I get to play all these games in near 1080p. Perfect. Time to play everything.
You're making me jealous. I don't have a computer, Roger. You gotta get
Neither do I.
Right? Honestly, I got
race.
the PC because my old one is having a stroke. It told me twice that it didn't have an OS to boot to. So I'm like, interesting. And I was in the middle of the semester, so I'm like, I can't fail a class because my laptop decided to have a stroke and die.
No. I haven't really been going back in my catalog other than the Paynes Creek killings, but I have, or to play games that I haven't played before, but I have been replaying a lot of games, and I've gotten super nerdy about it. So you all know that I'm really into adventure games. I love me a point and click adventure. So, and I've replayed these games a bunch. Like there's like a core set of like 8 to 10 games that I have played many, many times. Love them. So I don't know how much you know about kind of the history of adventure games, but Maniac Mansion was the first real kind of not modern point and click adventure game, but it was the first LucasArts adventure game designed by Ron Gilbert, and he came up with this system called the puzzle dependency diagram. Now it's kind of known as a puzzle dependency chart, and the whole idea was that, like, okay, so let's logically think out all the puzzles and all the items you can pick up and make sure that you can't get stuck anywhere in the game because you forgot to pick up a thing there, because that like happened all the time in games of, you know, the 80s and 90s. It would just be like, oh, I didn't pick up that thing, but why would I have picked up that thing? Now I have to like go back to a previous save. That's so stupid.
Taylor, you obviously haven't played Kingdom Hearts then, because as Roger mentioned, it's an escape room. It's an escape room.
Yeah.
That it still follows that very big flaw in adventure games.
Yeah.
And that you could just miss something and not realize you needed it.
Right. So so the puzzle dependency chart was really designed to like prevent that from happening in games. Like, let's really think it out. Let's make sure that if something is needed later, it is required that you pick it up to move forward in the game, so you can never get stuck, and you can never die. And that's like the big thing in LucasArts games. You can't get stuck and you can't die. So
AKA God mode.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a strong theme, Taylor. You are not a fan of combat, and you are not a fan of, like, I guess, that type of interaction, which is, it's interesting.
I want to experience my games. I want to experience the story and be able to finish them. I don't want to feel like there are barriers, like really big barriers to me finishing a game.
So like a visual novel?
No, because then there's also like, so when you look at puzzle dependency charts of adventure games that aren't super interesting, they're more like visual novels where it's like a hallway. It's like there's only one way to progress. So it would be like, this is a thing you do, arrow down, the next thing, and then the next thing. Whereas a really well-made adventure game will be branching. So if you look at like the puzzle dependency charts of Grim Fandango, and like the Rubalcaba section of Grim Fandango, there are a lot of options. There are a lot of different places to go, a lot to explore, but it will all come to the same point at the end, but you can kind of follow those paths however you want.
I have I think an example of a game that is purely a puzzle chart, which is the Stanley Parable.
I mean, yes.
And that's a perfect. It's a really it's a really like well-known example of that, because you can exactly see the results of all the paths. But not only that, but the game can have different results because of a path you've taken before, and I think that's an entire separate layer.
Oh, totally. And like when you look at the story charts of the Stanley Parable, they look a lot like puzzle dependency charts. So what my nerdy brain has been doing is I've been replaying some of my favorite adventure games, and I have the software YAD graphic editor. And as I do things, I've been mapping up what the puzzle dependency chart is.
Nice.
Because
this looks so cool.
It's so fun because I think it reveals a lot about how the game was designed that you don't really think about when you're playing it. And only when you like write it down and really think through it, it kind of reveals what's going on and how it was all laid out.
it sort of gives you a perspective on the actual complexity of the game, and I think I never realized how hard that is to design until and please don't laugh at this, or do. I tried to make an escape room out of my Animal Crossing island.
Nice.
Oh wow.
That is interesting.
It's almost done. I have yet to complete the maze that is the entrance to it all. It's basically done. I've also found a way that you can hop across spaces of water, but only in one direction. So they're like one-way gates.
Oof.
But I never realized how difficult it is to lay out puzzle elements until I tried to do so myself. Obviously, I gave myself a really limited format, but even in that format, it's still like impossibly difficult of a thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see, I'm sure it's showing you. It's kind of a way to almost measure how much work they put into mapping it out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So right now I'm mapping out the first Broken Sword game, Broken Sword Shadow of the Templars, which is from 1996. It's super good, by Revolution Studios. And it's really interesting in that one where it feels a little more linear than, say, the LucasArts games, but you realize how many like items you get back at the beginning of the game that you use like way later, and how kind of seamlessly that's all laid out. And then there's this game that I really love, The Dark Side Detective. It's from this like tiny Irish studio. I think it's like 3 people at the studio, and they're micro adventures. So I think there are 9 chapters in the game. And they're just really good, funny point and click, like supernatural mysteries. The writing is excellent. They're so funny. And they also do something really inventive. It's it's laid out like traditional point and click. So like you move to each static screen. But there is very little animation. So your characters don't walk into the frame. They're just static there. Everything is static except for a few tiny animations. And I didn't notice it until my second playthrough. And I was like, that's ingenious. Like, what did they do to make me not even care or notice that there's really no animation happening, but it still feels like kinetic? So that's been fun. A fun, nerdy thing I've been doing.
Wait, did you figure out what it was? What was causing that? That's really interesting.
So a lot of it is some of like the lighting. So they'll have like, say, like some flickering in a light bulb, or they'll have one object that's moving. So like a book is floating. So your characters aren't moving. So it's like 2, 3, 4 things in the scene are doing something. It may be something small. And just with that, it feels like there's motion.
Can you, what was the name of this again?
The Dark Side Detective.
The Dark Side. You know what? I think is that on the Switch?
I think it is. And
I think I have that on my wish list.
And I think there's going to be a sequel, Dark Side Detective 2, either coming this year or next year.
Well, I hope it is on Switch, because if it's only PC, I will not be able to play.
Oh, okay. To go further back on Isaiah, because you brought up a very interesting game, and I like to think of it as the main game of quarantine myself. So I think the next topic I want to go on is, what do you think is the one game that people would most enjoy during quarantine right now? And it's like, not like a recommendation, but you kind of like, you've noticed people have been playing a lot, because like my obvious pick is Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it came out just as the quarantine started, and it has been such a high commodity where in a moment where everyone was so stressed out, this game became everyone's stress reliever.
Yeah, I've heard someone jokingly say it's like the opposite of that summer where everyone was playing Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah.
That is true.
Now we're all just playing a different Nintendo game stuck inside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretending to go outside.
Oof.
I mean, I personally haven't played Animal Crossing, but that's just because it doesn't seem like my cup of tea, because there's no definitive end to the game.
Yeah, I'm the same. I started playing it and I was like, this is too open-ended for me.
I need a conclusion. I
Yep.
need to know that I have achieved victory, solved the mystery,
Yeah.
done the thing.
Oh,
I need
you-
very specific objectives.
You completionists. The journey is the game. Literally, it's a game that is simulated life. So obviously that has to be what you're looking for. But at the same time, I think what signifies an accomplishment within Animal Crossing is that you literally get to go in and do whatever you'd like. Now there are set goals that you can meet, like filling the museum and upgrading your home. But once those are done, it's really about customizing the island, because this game has given you the most ability to customize your world than any of the other ones. Now, as for the previous games, I didn't play them, so I'd probably agree with you, Taylor, that they would be way too open-ended for me to do. But with the added ability to customize my island, and also, as I mentioned, because I turned mine into an escape room, I will be able to, once I torture all of my friends and make them go through it, redo my entire island into another way that I'd like to do it. And I actually I've thought of some very meta ways to do it. For example, you can't terraform on the beaches, so you can move all of your villagers' homes there so that you have a completely free and clear space to work on.
Ooh.
How many hours have you put into this game so far, Isaac?
I can check.
many.
Give me one moment. I'll tell you in just a second here.
If you
But,
build an
it's-
escape room, I'm saying about 200.
That's probably not far off.
Oh my gosh. Because like
Let me see.
the biggest thing I kept seeing more is just it's showing a sense of community with a lot of players and people, and even people who don't play video games that often. Like I think I've seen people who just bought a Nintendo Switch just to play Animal Crossing, and I've seen moments where I think people in Japan had like a business meeting in Animal Crossing. I've had some people have like a virtual graduation in Animal Crossing, and a lot
I
of
remember
it's
that. That was
so
funny.
wholesome because I feel like
Do either of you guys want to? Sorry to interrupt, Taylor, Hugo. Do either of you guys want to guess the number of hours I have? Because Roger was pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 150.
I'm gonna go 250.
I'm at 215.
Oh,
I was closest.
Roger wins.
Yes.
It still pales to my 910 in Smash Bros.
oh my gosh.
Jesus.
That doesn't
Okay.
surprise me at all.
Okay.
Live and breathe Smash.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that kind of goes into like another topic then, for like another game, Smash, or I guess multiplayer. Do you? And I think this is mainly applied to me, Roger, and Isaiah, since we
Yeah.
are like on the younger end. We all have our respective friend groups.
I don't do multiplayer.
Do you feel as though like
Go play on
you guys have been incentivized to play more multiplayer games now as a sense of a community than you did before the quarantine started?
So I think I'm gonna make the same joke I did to you guys, that I'm part of the group of people who's been social distancing for some time now, even before the quarantine happened. So and also it's just it's really easy to just message someone, see if they're free, and then use that as a way to interact with them other than just conversation, and also still have conversation. Which I think is kind of nice for me, because I'm fairly certain I have some sort of attention problem, and it's easy for me to stay focused on the game and still talk to people, whereas I might get distracted trying to have just a conversation otherwise. Although I will say, thanks to Discord, we have been playing a lot more Jackbox, because we can just easily stream our screen over and play that way. Although I guess we could do it on Zoom as well.
Jackbox has definitely been one of those games where I feel like anyone from no matter what place they are, as long as they have like a solid internet connection and able to stream the game from a screen, it's a perfect like long distance board game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's true. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm also just thinking like, man, Jackbox must have made a lot of money with this.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
definitely.
They
How could they have
did.
not?
But like,
Yeah.
and it's like the same thing with Kahoot and everything. And it's like, I think much of the younger generation is fully aware of like how connected we are digitally, where even in quarantine we can still be with our closest people and still have like a fun time, which is good because it's a perfect way to cope with everything going on in the world.
Mhm.
And because I know for my friend group, aside from Jackbox, we play a lot of like indie games. Like we play Speedrunners.
Speedrunners.
Speedrunners. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then we also play Duck Game.
Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Oh, that
I
game
need
is
to get
fun.
that one.
Oh,
I-
and
I-
an exciting one coming up, Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout.
What is that?
Oh,
Have you guys heard about that?
Hmm.
So
No,
any of
I
you
have
guys
not.
do any of you guys have a PlayStation?
I have
Yes.
a PlayStation
I
4.
do. That gathers dust.
Do you have PS Plus?
No.
No.
This is a reason to get PS Plus because it's going to be free for PS Plus members. It's okay. Imagine if what's the game? Human Fall Flat made a battle royale puzzle platformer-esque game mode. Where
Sounds
it's
like
literally
Gang Beasts.
yes, it is kind of like Gang Beasts, but less directly violent and more just like
Indirectly.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. It is very indirectly violent. But it's a massive multiplayer online game where it's a race to the finish and first person to get to the end through this like obstacle course game wins, and that's the game.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
it's gonna be free for PS Plus members in August, even though the game is just coming out in August.
Just opened the Wikipedia page. Said it's based off a lot of like TV obstacle course shows. So like
Yup.
Takeshi's Castle, Wipeout, Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, it's extremely fun looking.
This is a total tangent, but we've been obsessed with watching Holy Moly, the extreme mini golf show.
What is with you and golf?
It's a good time.
Like this is just new information I'm getting from you, and I'm just caught off guard.
Dude, mini golf is like the jam, dude.
Yeah,
Mini golf
and
is
an
very fun.
extreme mini golf. Good stuff. It's good
I
stuff.
think what was it? Achievement Hunter. They just released their own series of mini golf where you could like. It's so strange because everyone's like in character and stuff like that, but you can also give people handicaps, so they could be like they're playing with like a lead ball, or they have to do it with oven mitts or a hockey stick, and it's incredible. It's so funny.
To go back to Hugo, when you were talking about games that I think are really good in quarantine, kind of specifically, I mean, Animal Crossing is big. For those of us who want a little bit of like a bite-sized Animal Crossing experience, I really recommend A Short Hike. It kind of has a similar visual style in some ways to Animal Crossing, mixed with a little bit of like the humor and character building and Night in the Woods, and then just like a system of moving around that is so fun. It took me about 2 hours to finish. I wasn't mad that it was that short. It is truly delightful.
How much did it cost?
You know, I
Sounds
don't
like a
remember,
15er.
but it's also in yeah, it's I don't know.
We
'Cause
can
I mean,
find
like,
out later.
It's like it's
Yeah.
okay if it's like short. It just depends like how much are you spending for it. It's perspective.
Yeah, and I know people, get mad when, games cost a lot and they're short, but this is a kind of a single developer game that I really, I like to support because it's something really special. And it's just a really simple premise about a girl who, in the beginning of the game, she's staying with her aunt on an island. and she's supposed to get a phone call from her mom, and you don't know what that's about. And she needs to get to the top of the island. The island's a big mountain, and she's a bird. So it's just you getting to the top of the mountain and taking as quick of a path or as slow of a path as you want up the mountain. Truly, truly
Interesting.
delightful.
What is the name of this
Sounds like
game again?
A short hike.
Short hike.
Okay, thank you.
Wait. Also, to go back on the topic of games that were good for quarantine, I think, Taylor, you mentioned a game earlier that you didn't really explain too much about, the Longing.
Oh, yeah. So
No, go ahead, please.
Oh yeah, so that one's all about waiting. You play as a little like black sprite thing, little demon thing. And your master, the Demon King, has told you that he's going to go to sleep for 400 days, and you're supposed to wait for him. And then the game passes in real time. So you could just wait the 400 days to get to the end of the game, or you can explore all these tunnels and try to find a way out. But things happen really slowly. So your character moves really slowly. It can take like a good 30 minutes to like get to a different place in the cave system. There's no map. Well, there's kind of a map in game, but not really to help you like keep track of everything. It's really all on you. So I think it's particularly interesting, well, one during quarantine, because it's about waiting inside for something to happen. But also it's this exercise in patience. And I think it's different than, say, like, mobile games where like you have to wait for time to pass, but you can pay for things to go faster. Like you can't pay for things to go faster. You just have to wait.
Real gratification.
Yeah. So it's, it's a real exercise in patience, and I think a really interesting experience to play. So when I play it, I will usually like have a book with me as I play, as I like wait for my character to walk somewhere. Or I wait for something to happen. Like some parts of the cave are inaccessible for like 2 weeks. Your character will say like, well, I can't pass now, but in 2 weeks, maybe this stalactite will fall and then I can get through. And you have to wait that long. There's no way to speed it up. So super interesting, super good.
That is such an obscure concept.
It's so one of a kind.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
What about you, Roger? Any games you would say might be good for quarantine?
Might be good for quarantine, aside from Animal Crossing and like The Longing and stuff. Well, I guess JRPGs, mostly the like big AAA ones, so like Persona and stuff like that, or Dragon Quest, similar games to that, because those can take up like hours upon hours upon hours. I mean, I heard the longest playthrough I've heard of Persona 5 was 500. So I think you got a good time waster there.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, but like other things, I guess, Fallout, stuff like Fallout, Outer Worlds, any of the Telltale games, those are really good.
Oh,
Definitely good use of time there. Aside from that, Cabela's Big Game Hunter. No, just kidding.
Because you can't be outside killing animals.
Right. So why not do it indoors? No, I guess
I have an idea for you that I feel like you should recommend, because I know you brought it up earlier, is the Kingdom Hearts series.
Oh God, I mean, take some killers before you play that.
Let me explain. It's at a point of the series to where you can buy every single game in that franchise, like the main games, all in one package. And
For
you have
$30. You can buy it for $30. It's on sale for the summer sale for PlayStation, by the way. Forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
You can literally get every game in the series for $30 right now. That costed $100 when it was first released.
I remember I did a whole marathon that entire game a year ago. It took me a month straight. And I was like, I I was no lifing that game to where I woke up, played it every morning, every night for like 3 to 4 hours on end, and it was intense, but honestly very gratifying. I wouldn't recommend other people do that. Of course, everyone has their own time, but I think out of all the franchises to get into, I think that's like a really good one, considering you now have like all the pieces kind of laid out in front of you.
Look, just get the all-in-one. Get the all-in-one package, which is literally every single game, at least console-wise. If you want to play the mobile games, you just download it on your phone. It's free. But like, if you want to play all of the major titles that aren't mobile games, all of the like things that contribute to everything, well, they're not really major. Just every title. I would suggest getting the all-in-one package. I will say, though, I have 2 gripes about the HD remasters and the all-in-one packages. 358 over 2 days and Recoded are only movies, which makes me so obscenely angry.
Well, let's explain
sad.
why. Like, there's a reason why for that. Because originally those titles for the were for the Nintendo 3DS, and because they're now on like regular so because they were on like regular platforms, like such as PlayStation, it's kind of hard to translate a dual monitor system to a single monitor system.
Excuse me? I literally just gave you a game that they did exactly that.
But I think for the most part, what you're getting though, it's fine.
It was not difficult. If they did it for Dream Drop Distance, which was a 3DS game, which required flow motion and everything, which used like slight gyroscopic controls, I would not see there being an issue transferring 358 over 2 days and Recoded, especially 358 over 2 days, because it gives you so much of a deeper connection with 3 of the most pivotal characters that come out in the 3rd game and who are existent throughout the rest of the franchise, as they are constantly mentioned and they are present. So then why on earth would you turn it into an HD cinematic with puppet faces?
Are you talking about Roxas, Axel, and Shion?
Of course. Who else?
Just making sure. I'm just making sure.
Who else could I possibly talk? God, Shion.
I can tell. Okay, let's not go into spoilers or anything, but I can tell you're very passionate about this, and I'm glad.
I want to cry.
Okay.
I love Shion, man.
Okay.
She's the best.
All right.
She's up here.
Well, I just want to say, oddly enough, you guys actually answered my last question for this podcast, which is if you could recommend just one game, either it could be a game you've already mentioned in this session, or it could be an entirely new game, and you have like to justify it for like a little bit, what would it be? And if anyone has any difference of what they've already named, go ahead.
I've got a different one.
Okay.
I just finished, but I'll recommend you play 2. That like there's one I just played, but play both of them. So Beyond a Steel Sky just came out. It's from Revolution Studios. It is a sequel to a game called Beneath a Steel Sky that was made in 1994. So 1994 to 2020. That's how long it took for a sequel to come out. So Beneath the Steel Sky, the original, is just an incredible point-and-click adventure set in a dystopian world. Just some of the best world building you're going to see. And Beyond a Steel Sky is such a good kind of like continuation of the story and a completely different kind of dystopian world. It's a really like colorful, happy-looking dystopian city. Some real good puzzle design. I think the writing in it is fantastic. The original was 2D. This one's 3D. I really like the controls, the puzzles. It was very fun. Highly, highly recommended. And what's awesome is Beneath a Steel Sky, the original 1994 game, you can play for free. So it's on GOG for free. You have to pay for the sequel, but you can play the original for free.
Oh,
all right.
GOG?
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's GOG?
Galaxy of Games.
Yeah. It started as Good Old Games and then became Galaxy of Games. It's an alternative to Steam. It's CD
Ooh.
Projekt Red are the people behind it.
Gotcha.
A really good
Okay.
alternative to Steam
Yes.
because
Yeah, I like that.
Steam just has your Steam games, but Galaxy of Games is like game library thing, lets you integrate Steam, Origin, Battle.net, Epic,
Yeah.
and
Sounds like I'm
anything and
getting GOG.
everything. Yeah, right.
All right.
And they also do, because it started as Good Old Games, they make old games work. So like I got into it because when you would download like the old LucasArts games, they would have Scum engine like run in the background. You didn't have to like download it separately and then run the game through it, which is what you still have to do on Steam for a lot of old games. But GOG, it just like all runs natively.
Beautiful.
Thank you for your recommendation. That was great. All right. Anybody else?
Oh, go ahead, Roger.
Oh, okay. I mean, aside from all of the stuff that I have already mentioned, and aside from Kingdom Hearts, if you don't want to have that much of a stroke and stuff, I would suggest the Batman Arkham series, just because I absolutely adored those games, so much so that I've played them in every single difficulty. And then I 100%ed it on normal, and then I played it on New Game Plus. I played it too much. But yeah, if you want to spend a good amount of time, but also have like a nice puzzle work, good riddling, like the Riddler side quest is gonna take up like, if you thought the main game was long, the Riddler side quest is as long, if not longer, because the Riddler side quest is all just like mental tricks and visual illusions that you have to solve. But like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good detective work. The only real gripe about it is that you spend a lot of time in detective mode, like the feature in the game. You don't spend a lot of time looking at all of the visuals because you're kind of trying to ascertain where all of the dangers are and where the next piece is and what the next bad guy you have to pursue. But yeah, Arkham Asylum was fantastic. It's small, but it works. It's like second best to Arkham City. So if Arkham City you feel is too big or things like that, then play Arkham Asylum, which is like a much more condensed version of the game. Definitely good. There's only like one big villain. Arkham City, one big villain, but you can fight all the other rogues gallery from Batman in side quests or collectibles and things like that. I'm not sure if I would totally recommend Batman Arkham, the third one. I don't even remember what it's called. But the
Arkham
third
Knight?
one,
No.
Night?
no, Arkham Knight was the fourth one.
Okay.
It was like Arkham Begins or something. No, City's fantastic. It was the second one. No, it was the third one. It was basically it's a prologue to Asylum and to City, even though it's the third game. It didn't do anything phenomenal for the series. There wasn't anything new, so it's like if you enjoyed, I guess, Arkham Asylum, or if you just wanted to like play another Batman Arkham game, then yeah, I would say play the third one. Arkham Knight, though, if you want to be in the Batmobile, and you like the Batmobile, get the Batmobile. Because that's honestly what Arkham Knight is. It was the premise of the story is that you now have like the city's under siege instead of just small sections or small locations. Now it's the entirety of Gotham, and you get the Batmobile to explore and venture throughout the entire city while facing the major threat that is, assaulting Gotham and disrupting all of the order and discipline there. But yeah, I would definitely suggest that series all over again, just maybe not the third one.
All right. Isaiah, do you have anything?
It's a game that I brought up earlier. I was going to say I highly suggest Hollow Knight, as it's a really expansive map that you really, like, throughout the whole time you're playing it, have no clue if you've seen everything.
Seriously?
Just because there's so much to see. It's a really big map. The game does a good job of also being customizable by a system of I don't remember what they're called. They're like tokens almost.
It's like badges.
The charms.
The charms.
Charms.
Yes, charms.
Yeah.
So, and even beyond the charm system, there's this secret-esque thing that you can do called being overcharmed, where you can actually apply a charm and go past your number of slots. So even say a charm that would take 4 slots and you only have 2 slots left over, you can be overcharmed by an additional 2 slots, or however many you can fit in just adding a single charm. And each slot that you go past your limit increases the amount of damage you take. So it just makes the game harder, but you can get more freedom with what you want to do with your characters by doing that.
And I know, like, the biggest thing I like about that game the most is that you don't actually know what's going on in that game per se when you start. Like, the game doesn't tell you its story. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, that was cool.
You're essentially like a character with it is mute. You're just in a random city, and you have to explore on your own and uncover, hey, what happened to the city? And they don't really tell you much of anything, but bits and pieces, which I think is great.
Honestly, I love the overcharm feature because it just feels like it's the embodiment of being too stubborn. Because it's like you put it on once and it's like, no, don't do that. You put it on and say again, it's more severe. Don't do that. Third time, it's getting worse. Fourth time, it's just this giant purple lightning going across the screen, just being like, "What are you doing?" And then the fifth time is just like, you know what? Do whatever you want. I don't care. Just know this. You'll take more damage.
There's like an special animation that plays the first time you overcharm yourself, and it's just pretty sweet. Which is why I say it's like a secret-ish kind of mechanic.
Well, I think that's a great game you could recommend, of course. I guess it's my turn then. This last game I would recommend. This is the game I mentioned at the first question that I got cut off a little bit. It is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. So, and I mentioned this because this is a very interesting tactical JRPG where you're essentially, it takes place in a very made-up country where it's split up into 3 different territories, where in the middle there's a little college. It's called it's a monastery. But it's essentially like a college where people from all around go to train and become like knights, higher officials, like warriors, magic, and stuff like that. And you play as the main character, who is essentially a mercenary who's led there and is tasked to be a teacher. And you get to basically choose a house based on whatever territory of the country it is and you want to be a part of. The biggest comparison it always gets is Harry Potter. It is a fun JRPG where instead of 4 houses, there's 3. Of course, it's the title. And what's entirely unique about it is there's 2 aspects of it. There's combat, which is like a little it's essentially just chess per se, where it's the whole map is a grid and you get to move around characters and just battle out with like axe, sword, magic, a whole plethora of weapons. And you have that perfect accessibility to say, I want to use this character and I want them to have so-and-so weapon or magic. And then obviously that's the battle aspect. And then the other cool aspect is like a social life aspect where you get to walk around the entire monastery. You have to motivate your students. You have to go fishing. You have to go eat dinner with them. And you even get to teach, which essentially gets to boost up their skills in you want them to be proficient in like magic, axes, sword, etc. And the whole thing is just even your own your own main character is customizable to what you want it to be. And I think my most favorite part is that depending on what house you choose, it has 4 entirely different routes depending on what house you pick. And I think you can very much get lost. I think your first attempt will take around at least 40 to 60 hours. So if you wanted to play that 4 times with that much replayability, it is an amazing time. If you are a fan of Harry Potter, for one, on it, because there's a lot of references it makes to it, even character designs, and or regular JRPG, because I know Fire Emblem gets a really bad rap where it's it's just anime sword people, which it's really not. And it's the story is amazing. The cast is it's entirely voice acted, by the way, which is I think is really rare for a JRPG.
Yeah.
And it's just really amazing. And then there's even like there's a romance support aspect as well, like a dating simulator. Where
great.
No. Hear me out on this.
Avoid it's like the plague.
Basically, no, it's essentially called support mechanics on how students interact with each other. They can either be romantic or platonic. Doesn't matter which or. I say romantic because at the point of the game, your character eventually gets to pick one of these characters as like a romance option or a platonic option, it's depending on their choice. There's like the game is two halves. One is like while they're students, and the other half is a civil war. And you obviously get to pick what side of the war you're on. And once the war's over, you actually get to settle down and pick what you want. And it's a fun cutscene, and it's definitely been the game's like a year old. Like the anniversary of the game at the time of this recording just passed, and I could not recommend this game more. And it's become one of my favorite games of all time. But okay, on that note, I just this is a good way to wrap up this quarantine podcast. And so I want to say thank you everyone. Thank you, Roger, Isaiah, for being our first guest for this podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I just want to one last message to the audience. This is a big thing we're going to start doing for the Library of Games channel, to where me and my co-host Taylor will be doing a lot more video game centric topics, such as video game design, representation with LGBT and minorities in video gaming, along with video game music, and many, many more. And if there's anything you want us to improve upon, just please feel free in like any type of comment section. We'll definitely leave on any other social medias. And even like we also have other people in our group that are focusing on other type of content, specifically like Let's Plays. Like I'm going to shout out Roger, where at the time of this recording, he is already part of a different Let's Play that's called for Paper Mario.
And Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah.
If you don't want to play it, you can watch it. Never ever. It's like a drug I cannot get rid of.
But yeah, just stay tuned, and I think you'll very much enjoy what we have to offer, and we cannot wait to bring more stuff to you guys soon. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
He's a bastard.